have gone through gate level implementation and the data flow level implementation, abstraction level. And we have started in a very long in last lecture uh, behavior abstraction level. So in a behavior abstraction level, we have gone through initial and always, what is the initial and what is the always procedure, and what the difference between a continuous assignment and the procedural assignment. Now today we are going to see in a behavior inside the initial and always we can make some statement can run as sequential, right? And in gate level abstraction and data flow, all the statements run concurrently. So in a gate level and data flow, we cannot use any conditional statement to check the condition, and based on the condition we cannot skip some statement and we can educate some set of statements. So it's not possible in a gate level and data flow level abstraction, right? So it is possible only when if the statement runs sequentially like a C programming, but in a very low gate level and most of statement run concurrently, means in parallel, right? So it have the provision in a very low in a behavior abstraction level. If we write inside the always or inside the initial, these are the two procedural blocks, always and the initial. So whatever you write inside the always and inside this initial, if the inside that always and initial also have the two types of statement, blocking statement and the non-blocking statement, right? So if we write inside the initial and always a blocking type statement, so here it is a blocking statement, these are the blocking statement. So if you write inside the initial and that always procedural and blocking statement, then statement run as sequentially. So it run first this statement and then it run this statement, right? So if the statement can if run sequentially, then we can use some loop instruction, right, inside the that always and the initial block. So like in a C programming, there are some few looping instructions support in the Verilog also. We'll see. So before that, let me see what is the blocking assignment and what is the non-blocking assignment. So blocking assignment statements are executed in an order. They are specified in a sequential block. Yes, so as I told, the blocking assignment statement run in an order. Right? So whatever we write the first statement, it run first, then the second statement, and then the third statement. So like in this order, it executes the statement. Uh, this is a operator for the blocking assignment. So in this previous example, here you can see here this operator is equal. So this is a blocking assignment operator, right? Like a assignment in a data flow. If you write inside the initial or always, then it is a blocking assignment. Let's take the example. Let me connect. So I can write a smooth through this digital slate. Yes. So let's take the example the range ABCD initial. So this is a procedural, right? So this is a program for the behavior abstraction level, begin and end, and here this equal sign. So A equal A dash B0, B equal 1 dash B1, right? And this is sorry here. Okay, sorry. So here you can see this is equal, right? So this is a blocking assignment, right? Blocking assignment, right? So in blocking assignment, statement run from top to bottom. Then has phi c is equal to, this is also a blocking assignment, and has 10 d is equal to a or b. This is also a blocking assignment. So if you see what would be the waveform of A, B, C, D, let's see, draw. This is our zero simulation time, let's see. And let's see, let first draw for the A. So A will be the one at the zero simulation time. This is the waveform for the A. And A will be the one at the zero simulation time. There is no before delay is here. So A and B goes to A is 0 at the zero simulation time, and the B is equal to 1 at the zero simulation time. B goes to 1. This is B, this is A, right? Let me okay. So this is A 0, and sorry, okay. And this one is the so B is equal to 1 at the zero simulation time, and the A is equal to 0 at the zero simulation time. Now after that, once this statement is execute, another is B is equal to 1 is also execute. Now third is has phi. So it is goes in a sequence, right? Because it is a blocking assignment. So it goes from top to down. So it first execute A, then execute B, and then it goes to execute the third statement. But the third statement has phi. So we'll get after the phi time unit, it assign A and B to C, but A is equal to 0, B is equal to 1, so C will be the equal to 0, but after the phi time unit, and before the phi time unit, whatever will be the initial value of the C, that will be there, right? And after that it execute the last statement, but it will wait for the 10 time unit. So 10 time unit from the phi time unit, right? So total time unit is, first is 5, then after it's wait for the another 10 time units. So this difference is 10 time units from the 5 time unit. So here actual time will be the 15 time unit from the initial. So after that, these have the o-ring of A and B. So B is equal to 1 and A is equal to 0. So o-ring of A and B, it will be the equal to 1, but it is at the 15 time unit, right? So because all the statement run a sequential, so once this run A is equal to 0, it is run at 0 time, there is no delay. B is equal to 1, this is also run at 0 time, so it is not a delay. But the C run after the 5 time unit. So C run at the after 5 time unit, and it is A and B. So A and B value will assign to C after the 5 time unit, and plus 10 time unit, right? So once this execute, then it start to execute the fourth statement. So fourth statement will start executed at the after the 5 time units. So it wait 10 more time unit after the 5 time unit, and then will assign the value of D is equal to A or B. Right? So value of D will D statement means the fourth statement will execute at the after the 15 time unit. So hope this is clear how blocking assignment statement run. Is it clear? Any questions? Hope it is clear how the blocking assignment statement run. Now we'll see a non-blocking assignment. Non-blocking blocking assignment statement. So in a non-blocking assignment, non-blocking assignment allows scheduling of assignment without blocking execution of statement that follow in a sequential block. Okay. So we can run non-blocking assignment statement run concurrently. This is symbol of the this is operator for the non-blocking assignment, less than equal to. So less than equal to, it is operator for the non-blocking assignment. Let's take the same example and let convert the third and fourth statement instead of the blocking assignment. Now here it is a non-blocking assignment. Then what will be the change in output will get? Right? Everything is same. Logic we are assigning to C and logic we are assigning to D, delay and the delay and everything is same, but just the change the from the blocking to non-blocking assignment. Just here the change is to convert a blocking to the non-blocking assignment. Right? Let's see by drawing its output waveform. It will give more clear idea. Right. So for the A is executed at the 0 time unit because there is no delay. So first is this is a blocking assignment, right? So first it execute the A, right? But at the 0 time unit, right? So it 0 time unit is assigned to 0. So this is our A. B is also executed at the 0 time unit but assigned to B is equal to 1. So this is equal to B. Right. Now C, it is a non-blocking assignment statement. So here it is non-blocking assignment statement is used, right? So parallel with A and B, C is also execute and the D is also execute because D is also a non-blocking assignment. So it not wait once the blocking assignment is finished and then we start a non-blocking assignment, right? So C is also run the parallelly, right? So C here have the delay is 5. So after the 5 time unit, it assigned the to C is equal to ending of A and B and it is equal to 0. So after the 5 time unit, we'll get the value in the C. Okay. And the D, now D here is also use a non-blocking assignment statement. So for the non-blocking, here you can say it run the parallelly, right? So it not wait once the finish the C and then it run the D. It not happen in a non-blocking. So value of D will get the new value of D will get after the 10 time unit. So it start from the initial, it start with the 0 time unit and after the 10 time unit it get the value of D instead of the 15 time unit in case of blocking assignment. So in a non-blocking assignment, statement in non-blocking assignment run the parallel. So both these run parallel. So that is a non-blocking assignment statement. Any questions in this blocking and non-blocking assignment statement? Let's see how the non-blocking assignment statement works. The operation of non-blocking assignment statement. First is the right hand side expression are evaluated and the result are stored internally in a simulator. In a temporary variable, it store the result. At the end of timestamp, suppose here it is C is equal to C less than equal to timestamp is 5 and we want a logic is A and B. So it evaluate the A and B, right? And it's store in a temp variable. And after the timestamp in which the given delay has expired or after the timestamp, the that temporary value will assign to the that left hand side operator. So this whatever the in temporary variables, what is in temporary variable A and B. So it will assign to C at the after the delay of 5 time unit. the simulator execute the assignment by assigning the store value to the left hand side. Right? So let's see if you want to exchange data of A and B. So it is possible we can exchange using the non-blocking assignment statement by writing A equal B and then B less than equal A. Right? So what will happen? It not take the if it's a blocking assignment, right, then we cannot exchange the data without using any third temporary variable. But we can do that exchanging the data without using any another temporary variable using a non-blocking assignment statement. Because in a non-blocking assignment statement, once this statement will execute, what will happen? It store the value of b into one temp variable. Let's say temp1. So it store in a temp variable temp1, right? And then temp1 will transfer to the a at the end of simulations. Right, so temp1 will be transferred into the A. When this statement is executed, it store value of A into the another temp variable, and at the end of simulation, temp2 variable will transfer to the B. Right, so we can exchange the data without easily without using any third variable using the non-blocking assignment statements. Here the sequence is also not important, right? First we write suppose b less than equal to a, and then we write the a less than equal to b, then also we will get the same output, because if not directly assigning the right hand side directly cannot transfer to the left hand side. It first store the data into the temporary variable, and then after at the end of simulation it transfer the temporary variable data into the left hand side operator. Right? So sequence to write the statement is not important in a non-blocking assignment, but it is important in a blocking assignment, because in a blocking assignment statement are done a sequence. It is clear how this non-blocking assignment statement operates. So it stores the data into a temporary variable and then it is assigned to the left hand side. It not directly assigned to the left hand side. Now in a timing control, in a behavior abstraction level, so it's have a three types of timing control. One is the delay based timing control, event based timing control, and the level sensitive timing control. Okay. So let me each delay based, event based, each have the three subcategory. One is the regular delay control, intra assignment timing control, and the zero assignment delay. So let's first try to understand what is the delay based timing control. So in a delay based timing control, the delay based timing control can be specified by the number. So delay can be specified directly using the number, like like we are writing the S5 or S10, so like that. So here it is a number. It is directly specified the delay in terms of number. It can specify the delay using some identifier, right? Or we have some that parameter, we have a delta we have defined, and then we write the has delta, so that is the delay of whatever the specified in the delta. Or we can use some mean typical max expression that also we can use to for the specify the delay. So let me see by taking the example of all the three cases in a regular delay control. So in a regular delay control is used when the non-zero delay is specified to the left of the procedural assignment. Right? So let's take the example. Suppose here the parameter one latency, it is a types of delay specified the 20, delta is specified here 2, right? So initial begin x equal to 0, there is no delay control, right? So this x equal to 0 is executed at the 0 simulation time. Hash10 y is equal to 1, so this hash10 it is a delay specified in terms of directly number. So it is a types of delay specified directly in terms of number. So hash10 y is equal to 1. So delay control with the number, delay execution of y is equal to 1 after the 10 time unit. Here's the latency z is equal to 0. So here latency is already we have defined using the parameter latency is equal to 20, right? So it is like some constant is already we have defined, and we are using that identifier latency. All right. So this will be delay control with identifier and the whatever the latency value. So here we already defined latency is equal to 20. So it take the 20 unit of delay. This is the expression where the it is specified the delay in terms of the expression latency plus delta, right? So latency have some identifier, delta is another identifier, and this it performs some mathematical on the two or more than two identifier, and that will be for to take the delay in this assignment, blocking assignment. So this is an expression delay control with the expression. Here the delay control using this y, so whatever the value of y, that is work as a delay for this statement. So it is again a delay control with the identifier, and also we can specify the delay in terms of the minimum, typical and maximum value, right? So q is equal to 0, so here the delay is specified in terms of mean, typical and max value. Any questions in this? So we can specify the delay using directly using the number or the identifier or the some expression. Now similar for the intra-assignment delay. Instead of specifying the delay control to the left of the assignment, it is possible to assign delay to the right of the assignment operator, right? So in a previous we have seen we have specified the delay on the left hand side. Suppose delay is equal to 5, c is equal to delay is equal to 5, c is equal to a and b. So here the delay is specified on the left hand side. It is a regular delay control. Now in intra assignment delay control, it is on the left hand side. Suppose if you assign this is equal to 5 a and b. So this is a right hand side, assign the delay on to the right hand side operator. So here y is equal to s phi x plus z. So take the value of x and z at the time is equal to 0. Evaluate x plus z and then wait for the phi time unit to assign the value to y. Right. So at a 0 time unit it evaluate the x plus z, and after evaluating it wait the phi time unit, whatever the specified time unit, to assign the right hand side to the left hand side operator. Okay. Equivalent method with a temporary variable and regular delay control. Okay. So here has by y temp. So here first is execute x plus z and assign to a temporary variable, and then has phi y and temporary variable. That so both the will get the same answer, right? So here it is. So take the value of x plus z at the current time and store into the temporary variable. Then through the x and z might change the between 0 to pi. The value assigned to y at time pi is unaffected. Delay based timing control. In a previous we have seen delay based timing control. First is the regular type, then the intra assignment type, and third one is the zero delay control. Right? So zero delay, that means no delay, right? So then why we are using the it need to be specified the as 0 x equal to 1. So procedural assignment in a different always an initial block may have evaluated at the same simulation time. Right? So in a one module, in a single module may have a more than one always an initial block. In a single module may have a more than one always an initial block, and always an initial block is a run concurrently, means in parallel, right? So in a procedural statement, that means the initial and always block in a different initial and always block may be evaluated at the same simulation time. All these block run parallelly, so it simulate the same simulation time. The order of execution of this statement is different. Always initial block is non-deterministic. So which always block will run the first and which will run the then after that to find out this order, it is non-deterministic, that it cannot be determined. So that can be make this task is easy by using this delay zero delay control. So zero delay control is a method to ensure that statement is executed at the last. So whenever we have specified the zero delay control, it executes once all the blocking assignment without the delay is run. Then after the whatever the statement which specified with the zero delay will execute. To use this eliminate the rest around condition. So it is used to eliminate the rest around condition when uh, simultaneously we are changing the value of x, right? So here in this example you can see first it assigned the x is equal to 0 and y is equal to 0 using the blocking assignment statement. So this is one procedural block, right? This is have the initial, so this is one procedural block, right? And this is another procedural block. In that also it assigned the new value of x into the with the x with the another value of to the x, right? And both the procedural assignment run parallel, right? As we know, all the procedural block run the at a zero simulation time, right? So in the second procedural block we have used has 0 x is equal to 1 and has y has 0 y is equal to 1. So that means at the 0 time unit, first it assigned x to 0, right? And the y is also is equal to 0. So first run the statement which do not have the specified the delay. So in this statement, in first procedural block there is no specified the delay, and in second procedural block here we have specified the delay has 0. 0 means there is 0 delay, right? So but when we specified the has 0, that statement will run after the execution of the statement which do not have specified the delay, right? So first this run the x is equal to 0 and y is equal to 0, and then it run the has 0 x equal to 1 and has 0 y is equal to 1. So at the end we'll get the value of x is equal to 1 and the y is equal to also 1, right? So it run first the statement which do not have specified the delay, and then it run the statement which specified the delay. Okay. So it have here you can see the rest around condition is can be avoided by specifying the zero delay. So that is the use of to specify the zero delay. Okay. Any questions? Okay, so let me move. Next is event-based timing control. Event-based timing control. So event can be utilized to trigger the execution of some statement or a block of statement. Okay. Let's say suppose at the positive edge of clock or at clock once the event in a clock we want to execute some statement, so we can use the event based timing control. Right. So let's say event based timing control also have three types: the regular event based, intra assignment event based, and the last one is named based event control or based event control. So first is the regular event control. So here it returns at the rate clock. That means whenever having any event in this clock, it execute the statement written after this at the rate clock. So inside the at the rate of clock we have written q is equal to d, right? So it implement the d clocks, right? So whenever d is assigned to q is whenever having the event in a clock. So event may be when clock goes from 0 to 1. So this is why event, and it is called a positive edge of the clock. And when clock goes the 1 to 0, then also it is called an event, right? So it is a negative edge of the clock. So once we write at the rate of clock q is equal to d, that means it implement the both the edge triggered d flip flops. So whenever have the positive edge, then also it trigger the output, means it assign the current value of d to the q, and when the negative edge of clock, then also it assign the current value of d into the q. So output q is changed at the positive edge of the clock as well as the negative edge of the clock. So this statement will implement both the edge triggered d flip flop. Another here the example we can see at the rate of pause edge of clock. Right, here it is clearly specified when we want to trigger. So we want to trigger at the pause edge of clock. So that means only a positive edge of clock. So positive edge is defined as when clock goes from the logic 0 to 1. Right. So these are the positive edge. So it implement positive edge trigger the D flip flop. So whenever the clock goes from 0 to 1 or 0 to X or 0 to Z, at that time it will or X to 1 or Z to 1, at that time it execute the this statement, means it trigger the D flip flop. Similarly, it's have an edge of clock, and also we can specify that event on the right hand side, like q is equal to at the rate of pause edge of clock d. So it is whenever having the pause edge of clock, it assign d to the q, right? So it is an event based timing control, timing control. Second is the named event control. In a regular event control, now we'll see what is the event control. So here it specified the like suppose some event is defined, like so here it is how to define an event, user defined event. So event, and then whatever the name you want to specify for that event, let's say. So here this specification of name is received underscore data. So that is we have a defined as a user defined event. This is we have defined as a user defined event. Right? So this is one user defined event, and how we can define user defined event is event and then the name of event, right? Whatever we want to give. It is a defined an event called a received underscore data. Now always at the rate of pause edge of clock, so it check the positive edge of the clock, and once I have the positive edge of the clock, right, it begin and it run the statement if last data packet, right? If last data packet, so last data packet, so if the last data packet is equal to 1, means if the last data packet is equal to logic 1, then it is run the statement whatever the return inside this if, otherwise skip the if, right? So if the last data packet when we are receiving the data, and if the data packet is last one, right, and then it is to trigger the event. So here this is the symbol to trigger the event. Greater than symbol, it is used to trigger the event. So it trigger the received underscore data. It trigger the received underscore data. Right, so it trigger the received underscore data. So whatever the user defined trigger we have defined, it trigger that event. So it will trigger the event received underscore data. So once the received underscore data is triggered, that means it have the event in that received underscore data. Then this always statement will execute whatever we write inside that always block. So inside the always always block we have written data buffer is equal to data packet 0, data packet 1, data packet 2, and all the data packet we want to combine, concatenate, and we want to assign to the data buffer. So once we receive the last packet, and then will be concatenation of the all the packet and want to assign to the data buffer. So it is possible we have to continuously check is there any last packet, and if we get the last packet and then we want to trigger our named base event, which is the received underscore data. Once the event is triggered, then this always statement have the event, and so it will run the whatever we write inside that always statement. So is it clear how we can use a event based named based event timing control? So here we have learned how to define a user defined event, and second thing is how to trigger user defined event. So this is symbol for to trigger the event. This is symbol to trigger the event. Okay. Any questions? Third one is in a event based timing control, it is or event or control. So event or control we are normally using in inside the always. So always here reset or clock or D. That means if having any event in reset or event in clock or event in D, then we have to execute the statement return inside the always. Right? So it is an or logic, it perform or logic. Reset માં trigger આવે કાં તો clock કાં પછી D માં ગમે તે એકમાં આવે તો પણ whatever we write inside this always will run. Or also can be specified using the comma. So if we simply specify the comma, then also it perform a ORing operation. It's have a trigger in reset or the trigger in clock or the trigger in D, then it run the statement whatever we write inside this always block. Right? So both the thing perform the same task, same things. Last one is the level sensitive timing control. Level sensitive timing control. So in a Verilog also allow the level sensitive timing control. That is the ability to wait for a certain condition to be true before a statement or a block of statement is executed. Right? So let's take the example. Always here the sensitivity is not specified. Right? So it always it run the continuously. Wait count enable. So it wait up till will get the count enable is equal to 1. Now if the count enable is equal to 1, then it wait for the 20 time unit and then assign the count 1 to the count. So it increment the count after the 20 time unit. Right? If count enable is equal to 1. So if count enable equal to 1, then it increment the count, at every 20 time unit, and if so n. So if the count enable is equal to 0, here this will implement using the if. That is similar to this. If the count enable is equal to 0, then none is happening. Means the counter is not going to increment. Counter will stop. And when count enable is equal to 1, counter is incremented by 1 at every 20 time unit. Right? So suppose this is my count enable. Sorry, my handwriting. And suppose I keep the count enable up to this is 0, and then I'm making count enable is equal to 1 for this time unit, and again I want to make it 0. Suppose I am making count enable up to the 40 time unit is equal to 0, and suppose I'm making count enable up this for this at every time unit count is increment by 1. So let me make this up to this, let's say 100, right? And then after again 0. So here it will be somewhere have the 60 or somewhere have the 80, right? So let's see what will be the output we'll get if we write this statement, right? So here we'll get in output. Output is our counter count value. So count value will be the 0 up to the 40. There is no any count value, and at the 40 its have initial value 0, right? So here we'll get the count value initial is 0. Sorry for the drawing. And at up to the 60 we'll get the count value is equal to 0, and after the 60 it increment by 1, right? So 60 to 80 we'll get the count value, it will be the 1, and then up to the 80 it will be the 2, right? Then after the 100 the count enable goes to 0, so it stop the count value to increment. So count value will be the 2 continuously until the next when the clock count enable equal to 1. So that will be the output we'll get, right? It is have some initial value whatever the value. Is it clear how it work? Wait count enable has 20, count is equal to count plus 1. Any questions in this slide? Now we'll see some conditional statement. So Verilog have three types of conditional statement support. One is a simple if statement without the else part, right? So if you can see the syntax of that, if expression will be the true, then it execute the true statements, otherwise nothing, right? And second types of conditional statement which have the one if else statement. So that means either the true statement will execute or the false statement is executed. So syntax for that is if expression, if this it's true, then it run the set of true statements, whatever we write, else it run the false statement. So either one of the statement will one of the set of statement will execute using this conditional statement, either the true statement or the false statements. In a first case we can see if the condition is true, then the true statement will be executed, but once the condition is false, then nothing is going to happen, nothing is going to be executed. And in third types of conditional statement, it's have a nested if else if, right? So it's have a multiple condition and multiple set of the statement at a time. Only one set of statement will execute depending on the which condition is true, right? So if condition 1 is true, then it run the true underscore 1 statement. Else if in expression 2 is true, then it execute the next set of the true statement. If the expression 3 is true, then it run the third set of true statements, right? Like that. So it is a if else if nested loop syntax in Verilog. So there are three ways we can write a conditional statement using the if, either only if else, and if nested, if else if, right? Let's see one example using the if statement. It is a conditional type 2 which have if and the else, right? So here if conditional expression, if the conditional expression is true, then it execute this statement underscore true, right? And if this condition false, then it, yes, any questions, then it execute this statement. It may be a single statement or a multiple statements, right? If it's having a multiple statement, then has to be enclosed between the begin and end, right? If you have in a single statement, then not need to be enclosed between the begin and end. So let's take the example using the multiplexer. Let me implement a 2 cross 1 mux using the if else statement. So in 2 cross 1 mux, we know it's two input in 1 and in 0, right? And have one selection line and one output. So module marks set of the port list. Among these, input 1, input 2 and selection line are the input port, and output is output port. Right? Now when we are going to use the in any always or initial procedure or in a behavior abstraction level, then the output is initially input and output by default is a net type, right? Net type or wire type. So we need to be explicitly, we have to define the output as a res type, right? Output as a res type, because we need to be hold the previous output value. We need to hold the previous output value. So to hold the previous output value, we need to be explicitly need to be define the output as a res type. So here we define the what are the outputs. We have to define as a res when we are using always or inside the always or initial block. We remember. Then always at the rate of, now this is a or based event control, in one or into or that selection line, right? Right. So if there is there event in one, into or selection line, it will execute the statement return inside the always. Here always block. Here we need a end of always. Sorry, need a end of always. So it see first it's a statement if selection line is equal to 1. So if the selection line is equal to 1, it will assign output to the input 1. Else means selection line is equal to 0, then we'll assign the output is equal to in 0, right? So have only one expression, conditional expression. If it's true, then it run the set of true statement, and if it's false, then it run the set of false statements. So it is very basic example of if else condition. Let me have the example based on the nested if else if statement, right? Based on the nested if else if statement, and let me implement a 4 cross 1 mux. So here also same thing. Now output need to explicitly define into the range type. First it check if control 1 is equal to 1. If yes, then it check control 2 is also is equal to 1. If yes, then it assign the output is equal to input 4. Means the both the control line 1 and 1. For the 1 and 1 of the selection line, we want the output it assigned to the that 4. Else means if control 1 is 1 but control 2 is equal to 0, where the control 1 is the MSB bit, right, of the selection line, and control 2 is the LSB bit. So this is MSB bit of the selection line and LSB bit. So if the control 1 is equal to 1 but control 2 is equal to 0, then it will assign the output is equal to in 3, right? Means for this condition, when 1 and 0 we want in output, it is equal to in 3. Else if, that means control 1 is equal not equal to 1, right? Else if, that means control 1 is not equal to 1, right? So when control 1 not is equal to 1, it check the control 2 is it equal to 1, right? So control 1 is equal to 0 but control 2 is equal to 1, then it's assigned the into the output. And else means the control 1 as well as control 2 both are 0 0, then we want to assign the input 1 into the output. So it is simple implementation of mux, right? Case statement, similar have the case statement. So syntax of case statement is case expression, and there have many alternatives, or right at a time only one alternative will run. Right, so alternative one, then turn the statement one or a group of statement one. If the alternative two is two, then it run the group of two statements, or three, or default like that. So it is an similar as like VHDL as well as C, similar case and N case in a Verilog. So let me implement a 2 cross 1 mux using the case statement. So here that we have defined output as a range, and then case selection. Now if this selection is equal to 0, this is 1 dash b 0, that means selection is equal to 0, then it assign the output is equal to input 0. If the selection it will be the 1, then it will assign the output is equal to input 1. And in default means I'm not a 0 or 1, then will display what display it is an invalid in, selection line, right? And case and module. There are 5 looping construct in a Verilog, right? That will be continue in a next lecture tomorrow. So we have last 5 minutes. So if you have any questions, you can ask. Continue looping construct in a tomorrow lecture.